Another thing that we've done to make the process efficient, again, we're obviously aware of the fact that we're the first thing to happen for the client to get back in their house, the architect to design a new foundation. So what we've done is we've developed a client questionnaire and a project guide checklist. So basically these are things that we're giving to all the clients. How high did the water come in the house is the first question. Now, I've done waterfront houses all over Long Island, and not one of them that are FEMA compliant, not one flooded. But I had one in Lindenhurst. Again, we're not done with the plan yet. FEMA's requirement was to raise the house 1.5 feet. That's the FEMA +2. That was where we're supposed to be. Well, the client had 2.5 feet of water in the house. So if the house met FEMA basic minimum regulations, it still would have flooded. So these are things I want to know. I'm exceeding FEMA in every situation, but I want to know how high the water came in. So questions about the survey, elevations, and then there's some questions like I have clients telling me we want to raise as high as I can legally. I don't care if I've got 8 feet under there. These are questions I need to know. We're obviously going to exceed FEMA, but the question is how far we want to exceed FEMA. And then, for example, there's a lot of questions about the boiler. Where we want the boiler to be. Is it going to be gas? Is it going to be oil? Because we're raising the house so high, if there's a garage, if it's a tankless system, gas, that are pretty small, I might be able to tuck that in an elevated part of the garage, which is above FEMA, well above FEMA floodplain elevations. A big thing for us is the design of the steps and the decks. Do you want the decks to stay on the existing ground where they are, or are we going to raise the decks up with the house? And where do you want the steps to go? Some of the lots are really very small, so we are having to think about that creatively, but okay, well, I got to come out of the house, the street's right here, where are the steps going to go? So, and then we have, the questions, and these are all questions that we give to the client. Now this is a lift project guide. This talks about specific things, like for example, the survey. What does the survey need to show on it? So what we've done is, because I know the clients, most people don't, everybody, this is a lot you're digesting. You deal with insurance companies, you're dealing with FEMA, you're dealing with the town, you're dealing with me. So we try to make this as simple as possible so that people know exactly what to do. But in here we have, the elevations of the survey, which we need. Now, do we want to get a test hole or not? A test hole is a soil that sows a shoal strata. There is a charge for that. Typically, the people that we're using is charging about $4.50 to do that. I know the soil is bogged there, so we may not want to do that, and I'm assuming it's bogged, and we can move on. So then we have, what surveys cost in here. There's a couple of surveys that we recommend, not that they're the only people that you can use. And this basically lays out about the FEMA regulation that's all in here. And then we talk about the foundation wall. Some clients don't want to see 7 feet of concrete. So we're talking about design-wise how we can minimize the impact of this. And there's lots of different ways that we can do that in terms of how the construction system. So those are things I need to know whenever we're designing the foundation. But again, this is all a checklist for us, which has, it's 4 pages, and it talks about, again, fireplaces, abandoning chimneys. So again, we know that we want to do these as efficiently as possible, because the sooner we're done and when you get a permit, then the sooner you can get your house lifted and you can move back in. Luckily, the permit process has been about 2 days per, which is fantastic. So I think the building departments, what I'm seeing, are very responsive and they're getting these through. But again, I did want to walk through the checklist, which again is something that we're giving to the clients so they understand the process, but that also they can help themselves along.